In the heart of London, amidst the crowds of tourists strolling through the city's iconic historic landmarks, one scene stands out and never fails to capture attention. The King's Guards, motionless and expressionless, in their immaculate uniforms and tall bearskin hats. However, there's something that many can't ignore: the serious, almost stern expression that's often interpreted as anger. But are they really angry? Or is there something more behind this impenetrable behavior? Videos of tourists playfully interacting with the King's Guards have gone viral countless times, capturing everything from funny exchanges to tense moments when the guards, in their firmness, respond with sharp commands or abrupt steps to restore order. These scenes, while amusing to those watching, raise a question that sparks curiosity in many. Why do they never smile, never relax, and seem so rigid all the time? In this video, we're going to delve deep into the history, the rigorous training, and the cultural role of these guards, who have become not only icons of the United Kingdom but also protagonists of a global curiosity. You'll discover that this seriousness is not exactly anger, but rather the result of a deeply rooted tradition, grueling training, and a symbolic responsibility that they bear with pride. Get ready for a fascinating journey through history, military discipline, and some iconic moments that have helped shape the image of the King's Guards. And as we unravel this mystery, you'll never look at the King's Guards the same way again. But before we answer the main question, we need to understand their origins. The British Royal Guard, also known as the King's Guard or Queen's Guard, is an institution with centuries of history, dating back to the period when the monarchy played a central role not only as a symbol, but also as a political and military force in the United Kingdom. To understand the behavior of the guards today, we need to travel back in time and explore the roots of this tradition. The origins of the Royal Guard date back to the 17th century when Charles II, after being restored to the throne in 1660, formed an elite unit to protect the sovereign and the royal family. This period was marked by political instability and threats to the crown, making the formation of a group to ensure the monarchy's safety essential. Since then, the Royal Guard has not only maintained its protective role but also evolved as a symbol of prestige and tradition. Although their main role, especially in modern times, is ceremonial, the Guards remain trained soldiers of the British Armed Forces. They have fought in battles and undertaken missions during wartime and are tasked with protecting royal residences such as Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and the Tower of London. The rigidity and discipline we see today are, in fact, reflections of intensive military training and the respect for the heritage they carried during World War II. For example, the Royal Guard was mobilized for active combat missions, balancing their ceremonial role at home with the defense of the nation on the battlefield. This example illustrates that, behind the impenetrable appearance, the King's Guards have a history of bravery and real sacrifice. Over the centuries, the Guards' uniform and posture have been shaped to reflect this seriousness. The bearskin hat, one of the most iconic elements of their uniform, was introduced in the early 19th century after the victory at the Battle of Waterloo, as a way to honor the regiments that fought bravely. In addition to being defenders of the monarchy, the Guards have become a crucial part of British cultural identity. Millions of tourists from all over the world visit the UK annually to witness the changing of the Guard or simply to take a photo alongside these icons. However, what many don't know is that the strict conduct rules, which require expressiveness and absolute emotional control, are reflections of meticulous training and a code of discipline that dates back centuries. Now that we understand the historical origin and the role played by the Guards, the question arises: how does this legacy reflect in the training and the rules they follow today? If there's a reason why the King's Guards seem so serious and unflappable, it lies in the exhaustive training they undergo before assuming their posts. Contrary to what many think, these soldiers are not just decorative figures. They are highly trained members of the British Armed Forces, and their rigid posture is the result of a preparation process that demands both physical and mental endurance. Before becoming a Royal Guard, a soldier must undergo conventional military training, whether in the British Army, Navy, or Air Force. Most of the Guards belong to elite infantry regiments such as the Grenadier Guards, Coldstream Guards, and Scots Guards, which have a history of real combat and high-risk missions. After completing standard military training, soldiers selected for the Royal Guard undergo additional preparation specific to this role. During this period, they learn about the history and tradition of the monarchy, are trained to maintain a firm posture regardless of the situation, and rehearse the famous parades and changing of the Guard. Additionally, they must get used to the weight of the uniform, which includes the bearskin helmet weighing around 3.5 kilograms and the service rifle. Being in the Royal Guard means following a set of extremely strict rules. Among them, do not show emotions. The Guards cannot laugh, speak, or react to provocations from the public. Unchanging posture. The position of attention must be maintained for long periods, often under extreme weather conditions. Minimal movement. Any movement must be precise and rehearsed, with no room for improvisation. Use of voice only when necessary. If someone crosses the line or tries to touch a guard, they may give a verbal warning and, in more serious cases, act physically. Many tourists try to test the patience of the guards, making faces, telling jokes, or even trying to distract them with questions. However, the guards are trained to ignore these distractions and remain focused. In some cases, when someone crosses the line, the guards are authorized to give firm commands, such as stand back from the Queen's Guard. There are even records of people being detained for disrespecting the guard. In addition to the rigorous training, the guards face daily physical and mental challenges. Staying still for long periods can be extremely uncomfortable, and they need to develop endurance to withstand the intense cold of the British winter or the heat of summer. Moreover, the psychological pressure is high because any slip-up can go viral on social media, causing embarrassment and even disciplinary penalties. Another challenge is the constant vigilance around them. Although most people see them only as ceremonial symbols, the King's Guard still have the responsibility of protecting royal properties from real threats. This means they need to be alert to any suspicious behavior, ensuring their seriousness doesn't compromise security. While the King's Guards are symbols of discipline and tradition, their imposing presence and unwavering posture inevitably spark curiosity and often the playful side of tourists. After all, who hasn't seen a viral video of someone trying to make a guard laugh or move? But to what extent are these interactions just harmless fun? And what are the consequences for those who cross the line? Since the King's Guards began patrolling the gates of British palaces, their serious figure and immaculate uniform have become one of the UK's most iconic images. For many visitors, seeing the guards in person is a must-see event, especially the famous changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, a ceremony full of pomp and tradition. However, the guard's rigid nature and immobility often trigger an almost automatic reaction in some people to test their limits. This behavior is so common that it has become part of British tourist folklore. The desire to see a guard break their composure, smile, or react in any way has created a sort of game for unsuspecting visitors. Some of the most common pranks that tourists try include making faces and jokes in front of the guards, attempting to provoke a reaction, taking selfies in funny poses, standing next to the soldiers as if they were living statues, imitating the steps of the guards while they march, often resulting in viral videos, pretending to touch or push the guards, a serious mistake that can lead to an immediate response. Although many of these interactions are harmless, there are cases where tourists cross the line and need to be reprimanded. Guards are trained to ignore light provocations, but if someone directly interferes with their duty, they have the authority to react. In more severe situations, they may shout firm commands, such as make way for the Queen's Guard, or even advance toward the person to move them out of the protected area. While many people see the guards as tourist attractions, it is important to remember that they are there to perform a serious role. They are not actors in a live show, but soldiers on duty. Disrespecting them not only compromises the experience of other visitors, but may also result in penalties for those who cross the line. However, this doesn't mean that all interactions need to be cold. There are records of guards subtly demonstrating humanity in special moments, such as giving a slight smile to a child or nodding to a war veteran. But these moments are rare and spontaneous, and when they occur, they become even more special. To become a King's Guard, one must undergo rigorous training that tests not only physical strength but also the mind, patience, and discipline. This process is crucial to ensure that each guard is fully prepared to handle the pressures of the job, including interacting with tourists, the responsibility of protecting the monarchy, and the demand to maintain an impeccable posture for long periods. The path to becoming a King's Guard begins with a highly competitive selection process. While any British soldier can apply, only the most qualified have a chance of passing. The training is developed by the Guards Division, one of the most prestigious units of the British Army. Most of the guards who reach the Royal Guard position come from elite units, such as the Coldstream Guards or the Grenadier Guards. Candidates undergo a series of tests, which include 1. Physical test of running, push-ups, squats, and other exercises to ensure the soldier is in excellent physical condition. 2. Mental evaluation. Candidates must demonstrate patience, self-control, and decision-making abilities under pressure. 3. Military training. The Guard is also trained in combat, defense tactics, and of course, how to protect the royal family. Additionally, they must be able to excel not only as combatants but as symbols of discipline and respect for tradition. This includes having impeccable posture and the ability to endure long hours of silence and movement without deviation. One of the most demanding parts of the training is immobility. The job of a King's Guard requires them to stand still for prolonged periods, often 2 to 3 hours at a time. During this time, the guard must maintain a straight posture without making any gestures, movements, or facial expressions. This ability to remain still is crucial not only for their role, but also for the symbolism of the royal guard. Their presence must be imposing and dignified, like a living statue. The training to achieve this level of immobility involves posture practice. Guards learn to maintain an impeccable posture without tension to avoid muscle fatigue. Breathing control. Deep breathing techniques help maintain calm and focus during periods of inactivity. Exposure to heat and cold training includes resistance to extreme temperature conditions, so the guards can maintain composure even in adverse climates. Immobility is one of the features that most fascinates tourists, but it is also one of the greatest challenges faced by the guards. Although the main function of a King's Guard is to protect the location and the monarchy, they also interact with the public, as seen earlier. Therefore, it is essential that training includes the ability to handle tourists, especially those who may try to provoke them or disrupt their impassive behavior. In training, the guards learn 5. Distraction techniques, how to maintain focus even in the face of provocations or distractions. 6. Gestures of authority, how to use clear and effective vocal commands, if necessary. 7. Patience, teaching how to not react impulsively to inappropriate behaviors. This is crucial to ensure that the guards maintain their composure in situations that can be stressful. Their ability to not react, even when provoked, is a reflection of intensive training. When we see the royal guards, especially the British ones, with their closed expressions and rigid postures, the first impression we have is that they are indeed angry. This behavior often fuels the myth that they are nervous or bothered by the presence of the public. But is this perception correct? The reality behind their disapproving expressions is much more complex and layered than we imagine. The training that the guards undergo is not limited to controlling their physical posture or the environment around them. They are also emotionally prepared to maintain a facade of immobility, regardless of what happens around them. The anger, or the impression of irritation that many observers feel, is actually the reflection of a discipline that requires extreme emotional restraint. Imagine a guard standing for hours on end, in the same spot, without moving, with their mind focused solely on the task, and not even allowing themselves to smile or make any gesture that might break the seriousness of their mission. This creates an interesting paradox. While the public may see a stern and harsh face, the true mental state of the guard is not one of anger or frustration, but rather one of disciplined calm, a resistance to discomfort, and often a silent determination. This behavior is also linked to the type of environment and the responsibility assigned to the guards. Being on duty at places like Buckingham Palace means being constantly under the eyes of tourists, curious onlookers, and sometimes provocateurs attempting to instigate reactions. The guard cannot, under any circumstances, give in to provocations. They must maintain their posture with the same seriousness, no matter what happens around them. Therefore, what appears to be anger is actually a facade built to ensure that the guards perform their duties flawlessly and without distractions. The seriousness in their expression is a direct consequence of rigorous training that prepares them for a wide range of situations, always maintaining professionalism. In this context, anger is simply a misinterpretation of what is, in fact, a commitment to the task at hand. The posture of the royal guards, with their serious and rigid expressions, is not a recent invention. It carries a profound historical weight, dating back centuries of tradition. To understand the anger that many perceive in them, we must look at the origins of this iconic figure and how it has evolved over time. The guarding of royal palaces dates back to the Middle Ages, when military functions were performed by soldiers tasked with protecting monarchs and their families. As monarchies became more symbolic and less reliant on armies for protection, the guards became a symbol of stability and continuity. The impassive behavior, rigid posture, and unchanging expressions were gradually codified as part of this image. For the British, the Queen's Guards, or Royal Guards, are a symbol of national pride and respect for the monarchy. Their role goes beyond physical protection. They are, in a way, ambassadors of the country's history and culture. The serious demeanor is part of this representation, maintaining composure in front of the crowd, resisting provocations, and embodying the dignity and tradition of an entire nation. However, the rigidity and lack of expression did not arise by chance.